How many times have you postponed something truly important, promising yourself that tomorrow, yes, tomorrow things will be different? Maybe it was that crucial presentation for work, the one that could open new doors for your career, or that book that's been sitting on your shelf for months, the one you swore you'd read to feel inspired or to reconnect with something deeper in yourself. Or maybe it was something simpler, yet just as meaningful, finally organizing your personal space, creating an environment that reflects who you are and who you want to become. Sound familiar? That subtle, yet persistent feeling that time is slipping through your fingers, even as the list of unfinished tasks grows longer and heavier by the day. You are far from alone in this. This invisible weight, this quiet resistance, has a name: procrastination. And while it's something almost all of us struggle with at some point, very few people truly understand what's behind it. You might be tempted to blame it on a lack of time, or maybe you tell yourself that you're just not motivated enough. Sometimes we believe we lack discipline, that we're lazy, or that we simply need to get it together. But what if I told you that the true root of procrastination is far deeper than any of that? That it's not really about time or laziness at all. According to the celebrated psychoanalyst Carl Jung, every action, or lack thereof, is shaped by something much more profound: a hidden, internal dialogue. Beneath our choices, beneath our silence, beneath every instance of avoidance, there is an ongoing conversation taking place inside us. It is a conversation between our conscious self and the unseen parts of us, our emotions, our wounds, our fears, and our longings. Procrastination, then, is not merely the act of delaying. It's not just putting things off until later. It's a psychological message encoded in behavior. It's a reflection of the inner conflicts we carry quietly through our days. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," there is something unspoken, an inner voice you might not even realize you're listening to. A part of you that hesitates not because you're unmotivated, but because you're afraid. Afraid to fail, afraid to succeed, afraid that what you create might not be perfect, or that it might reveal something vulnerable about you. It's a signal. Something inside you is asking to be heard. Now just imagine for a second, what if that habit you find so frustrating could actually be a doorway to deeper self-awareness? What if, instead of constantly battling procrastination, you could learn to understand it, even use it as a tool to transform your life from within? Jung believed every internal conflict holds meaning, a hidden message waiting to be uncovered. Procrastination is no exception. Today, we're going to dive into the most hidden corners of your mind. We're going to explore how the ideas of Carl Jung can help you not only overcome procrastination, but also uncover why it happens, what it truly means, and how to use that insight to unlock your full potential. This isn't about a quick hack or some surface-level trick. It's about going inward, into the core of your behavior. I promise you this won't be just another video on how to be more productive. This will be a real encounter with yourself, with the parts of you that you often ignore, but that have so much to tell. So stay with me until the end, because what you'll discover today might not only change how you deal with your tasks, it could also transform the way you relate to yourself. Are you ready to begin? So what really happens when you procrastinate? Think about that moment when you choose to delay something important. Deep down, you know it should be done. But instead of moving forward, you drift off, maybe scrolling through social media, watching a random video, or even cleaning your room, something you'd never usually enjoy, except when there's something more urgent to avoid. But why does this happen? Procrastination isn't laziness or poor time management, as many people assume. Psychologically, it's a defense mechanism, a way of avoiding emotional discomfort tied to a certain task. That discomfort can take many forms: fear of failure, perfectionism, anxiety, or even an unconscious resistance to what that task represents. Carl Jung, through his deep exploration of the human unconscious, offers us a unique lens to understand this phenomenon. Jung spoke about the inner forces that divide us. Inside our psyche, there are parts that long for change, for growth, for action, but there are also parts that fear the unknown, that cling to the comfort of the familiar, even when it means staying stuck in place. These parts, often repressed or ignored, are what Jung referred to as the shadow. Procrastination is, in many cases, a clear sign of this inner conflict. We want to move forward, yet something within us holds us back. This self-sabotage is not simply laziness. It's a signal that something deeper within us needs our attention. Now take a moment to think about the world we live in today. We've never had so many distractions within such easy reach. In just a few seconds, we can plunge into an endless ocean of entertainment, messages, and notifications. These distractions serve as convenient escapes, giving us the instant gratification our mind craves, especially when we're faced with tasks that require effort or when we're trying to avoid difficult emotions. But the issue is that these distractions pull us further away from what truly matters. Procrastination, intensified by modern technology, traps us in a cycle of avoidance that only feeds our anxiety and sense of guilt. Over time, it chips away at our confidence, erodes our sense of purpose, and ultimately robs us of joy. This is why it's essential to recognize that procrastination isn't just a bad habit. It's a message from our mind. It's an invitation to explore those inner conflicts and resolve them with honesty and compassion. As Jung once said, what we fail to face within ourselves will eventually appear as fate. If we don't address these hidden patterns, we stay trapped, allowing our responsibilities and our lives to remain on hold. So, are you ready to uncover how this struggle can actually become a powerful ally for your growth? Let's take a deeper dive into this journey. Why do we truly procrastinate? It's not just about time, discipline, or willpower. The root of this behavior goes much deeper, and Jung gives us a crucial key to understanding it: the shadow. Jung described the shadow as that part of our psyche where we store the aspects of ourselves we'd rather not acknowledge. These are our insecurities, fears, repressed desires, and unresolved emotions. Instead of facing them, we tend to shove them into a dark corner of our minds, hoping that if we hide them well enough, they won't hurt us. But the shadow doesn't simply vanish. On the contrary, it keeps shaping our choices, our emotional reactions, and our behavior, often without us realizing it. In this sense, procrastination is more than just delaying a task. It becomes a subtle expression of our shadow. Each time we avoid something, we're actually saying, on a deeper level, I don't want to deal with what this task brings up in me. Take this example. Putting off an important work project might not just be laziness. It could be fear of failure or anxiety about not meeting expectations. Avoiding a difficult talk with a friend may reflect our discomfort with conflict or our fear of being rejected. In these ways, procrastination acts as a shield. By avoiding the task, we're also avoiding the uncomfortable emotions we don't want to face. And here's where it gets complicated. What we avoid doesn't go away. It grows stronger and finds new ways to hold us back. Let's make this more relatable. Imagine you have a crucial report to submit at work. You know it matters, but every time you sit down to work on it, you find yourself doing something else instead. Checking your email, tidying up your desk, even scrolling through social media. Why? Deep down, maybe you're afraid your work won't be good enough. That fear gets buried in your shadow, but it still shows up in the form of procrastination. And this doesn't just happen with work. It applies to personal goals too, like starting a fitness routine. It might not be a lack of motivation. It could be a deeper resistance to physical discomfort, or a fear of changing your identity. Jung believed that what we repress in our shadow doesn't disappear. It resurfaces in ways we don't always recognize. Avoiding tasks might seem small, but it's often a sign of inner conflict we haven't resolved. Procrastination subtly reveals the parts of ourselves that long to be acknowledged and integrated. The positive side is, the shadow isn't something we need to fear. In fact, Jung believed that facing and embracing it is crucial for personal growth. When we recognize our fears and insecurities, we take away their power to control us from the background. And by doing so, we start to free ourselves from patterns like procrastination. In the next section, we'll explore how to identify these internal patterns and how to work with them, rather than fight against them. Because as Jung said, one doesn't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And in that very darkness, you'll find the answers you've been searching for. Before overcoming procrastination, you must first understand it. As we've seen, it's not just a bad habit. It's a sign of internal conflicts that are asking to be heard. In order to change this pattern, you have to identify it. But how exactly can that be done? The key lies in self-exploration. You can't change what you don't understand. So the first step is to ask yourself, what tasks do I usually avoid? Make a mental list, or better yet, write it down. Are they tasks related to your job, or perhaps things in your personal life, like overdue conversations or major decisions? Once you've identified these tasks, ask yourself, what do they have in common? Do they often involve challenge, the fear of criticism, or the risk of not meeting expectations? Noticing the common themes behind what you avoid is the first real step to understanding your procrastination. Then reflect on the emotions involved. What do I feel when I procrastinate? Maybe guilt, knowing I'm avoiding what matters. Maybe anxiety just thinking about starting. Or maybe even brief relief from avoiding it until frustration returns. These emotions are like a compass, pointing directly at the inner conflicts that are calling for your attention. The third key question is, what do I think about myself when I procrastinate? It can be uncomfortable to ask, but it's a necessary step. When we avoid doing something important, we often fall into a cycle of harsh self-criticism. Thoughts like, I'm such a mess, or I'll never be good enough to do this right, tend to show up without warning. I'm a mess, or I'll never get this right. These beliefs often emerge from the hidden parts of our psyche, and it's these unconscious beliefs that keep us stuck. But when we become aware of them, we can begin to challenge and rewrite them. A powerful tool for this self-exploration is keeping a self-observation journal. Every time you catch yourself procrastinating, write down 4 simple things: the task you're avoiding, the emotions you're feeling, the thoughts running through your mind, and the activities you're using to distract yourself. This journal isn't just a way to track your habits. It's a mirror, one that helps you clearly see how procrastination shows up in your life and how deeply it affects you. As you write, you're bringing what's unconscious into the light, something Carl Jung believed was crucial for true personal growth. Remember, self-awareness is the first real step toward transformation. Once you can recognize your patterns, you can begin to collaborate with them instead of constantly fighting them. As Jung said, what we deny takes control of us. What we accept holds the power to transform us. Recognizing your procrastination patterns isn't just a useful practice. It's an act of courage. It's the decision to look within, to face the parts of yourself you've long ignored, and to finally start reshaping them. Now that the problem is clearer, you're ready for the next step. Learning how to turn procrastination into meaningful, productive action. Overcoming procrastination isn't about pushing harder or forcing action. In fact, the more you fight it, the more resistance you feel. Why? Because, as we've seen, procrastination is your inner self asking to be heard. The key isn't to fight it, but to listen, understand, and work with it. Here are some practical strategies, inspired by the ideas of Carl Jung, that can help you break this pattern. 1. Integrate your shadow. Face what you've been avoiding. The first step to overcoming procrastination is to acknowledge those parts of yourself you've been pushing away. Jung believed that what you resist doesn't go away, it grows stronger. If you avoid dealing with your fears or insecurities, they'll continue to shape your choices behind the scenes. So how do you face them? Next time you notice yourself procrastinating, pause and ask, what am I feeling right now? Or, what exactly am I trying to avoid? Maybe it's fear of failure, discomfort with stepping outside your comfort zone, or even facing the pressure of your own expectations. When you recognize and accept these emotions, they begin to lose their grip on you. 2. Break tasks into small, manageable steps. Procrastination often shows up when things feel too big, too heavy, or just too much. Your brain, sensing some kind of emotional or even physical threat, looks for an escape, often in the form of something easier or more pleasant. The answer is to shrink the task. Take that overwhelming job and break it into smaller, concrete actions. For example, instead of write the full report, start with open the document and type the title, or simply commit to working on it for 10 minutes. Just starting, even if it's tiny, can shift your momentum and give you the energy to keep going. This method doesn't just lower your anxiety levels, it also gives you small wins that slowly build up your self-confidence. 3. Make daily self-reflection a habit. Jung believed that self-observation was key to truly understanding who we are. Taking a few moments to reflect on your patterns of procrastination can help uncover their root causes and keep them from repeating. But how do you do it? Try setting aside a few minutes at the end of your day to write about what you accomplished and when you found yourself procrastinating. Ask yourself, what made me avoid that task? What did I feel in that moment? What can I try next time instead? This kind of reflection doesn't just keep you more aware, it helps create a more constructive and less judgmental inner dialogue. 4. Use positive affirmations and mental visualizations. Procrastination is often tied to negative thoughts about your ability to succeed. Jung reminds us that when we change our internal story, our mind can begin to reshape our reality. So how can you do this? You can repeat affirmations like, I'm fully capable of handling whatever comes my way, or every small step moves me closer to my goal. Or simply visualize how you'll feel once that task is complete. Picture yourself handing in the project confidently, or enjoying the calm that follows finishing something that once felt overwhelming. These mental images keep you connected to your motivation. 5. Create routines and practice conscious discipline. Inspiration is powerful, yes, but it's not always around. That's why solid routines matter. They remove constant decision-making and reduce chances to procrastinate. So how do you start? Set a schedule for your top priority tasks. Do the hardest ones when your energy is high. Eliminate distractions. Turn off notifications. Clean your space, or use strategies like the Pomodoro technique. Work for 25 minutes, then rest for 5. It keeps your mind fresh and focused. These aren't instant fixes, but they're powerful tools to reshape how you deal with procrastination. Use them, and you'll not only make progress, you'll also deepen your understanding of yourself. As Jung once said, nothing can truly change until it is first accepted. Judgment doesn't set us free, acceptance does. Now that these tools are within your reach, are you ready to take that first step? Because, as you know, real change begins with a conscious decision. Picture for a moment how your life would look if you stopped procrastinating. Think of those projects you've always wanted to finish, those personal goals you paused indefinitely, or the meaningful conversations you never dared to have. What would shift in your world if you began taking action instead of putting things off? Breaking the cycle of procrastination doesn't just reshape your days, it can transform your entire life. One of the first and most noticeable benefits is a boost in productivity. When you stop delaying tasks, you realize that what once felt overwhelming is more manageable than you thought. Getting things done doesn't just ease your stress, it sets off a chain reaction. Each task you complete gives you a new wave of energy and motivation to tackle the next one. It's like unlocking one door after another, letting your ideas and efforts flow freely. Beyond that, overcoming procrastination deeply impacts your self-esteem. Every time you avoid something, you might find yourself caught in a cycle of self-criticism, feeding a narrative that undermines your worth. I'm not good enough. I have no discipline. But when you start taking action, even if it's small steps, that story begins to shift. Each accomplishment, no matter how minor, proves to you that you're capable. And that realization boosts your confidence while helping you see yourself as someone who's competent and in control of their own life. Your relationships benefit too. Procrastination doesn't just affect your own responsibilities. Often, we delay apologies, difficult conversations, or even the simple act of spending meaningful time with those we care about. When you break that habit, you become more present, more engaged, and more accountable in your interactions. This helps build trust and respect, and it brings more depth and authenticity to your connections. But perhaps the most powerful part of defeating procrastination is that it opens up access to your untapped potential. Many of the most successful people in history had to face their own battles with procrastination in order to accomplish their dreams. Take writers like Victor Hugo, for example. He devised systems to force himself to write, including locking himself in a room without clothes or distractions until he finished his work. The result? Legacies that have transcended generations. Now think about yourself. What could you accomplish if you stopped making excuses and finally decided to take action? Maybe there's a hidden talent within you that you've never explored because you keep telling yourself, "I'll do it tomorrow." Maybe that project you've been avoiding could not only change your life, but someone else's too. Overcoming procrastination isn't just about finishing tasks. It's the key that unlocks the path toward a more powerful and authentic version of who you truly are. When you choose to let go of procrastination, you're making a decision to invest in your future, your potential, and in your dreams. And always remember, every small step you take matters. It's not about perfection, it's about moving forward, even if it's just a little more each day. As Carl Jung once said, what you do today can transform every tomorrow that follows. So now the question is, what will you do with this very moment? As we reach the end of this journey, take a second to pause and reflect. We've explored what procrastination really is, how it connects to deeper layers of your mind according to Jung, and how to recognize and overcome the internal patterns that keep you stuck. We also talked about practical tools, integrating your shadow, breaking tasks down, engaging in self-reflection, and creating routines that shift the course of your life. But none of this matters if you don't make the choice to act. Today, I want to invite you to take one step, just one, toward that task you've been avoiding. You don't have to fix everything right now. Just choose one thing you've put off, no matter how small, and give it 10 minutes. It's not about how far you get. It's about starting. That small effort won't just ease the anxiety that comes with procrastination. It'll also send a powerful message to your mind. I can do this. Remember, overcoming procrastination isn't something that changes overnight. It's a journey of self-discovery, one that doesn't happen all at once, but rather unfolds in a series of small, seemingly ordinary steps. These steps, taken consistently and with intention, have the power to guide you toward a life that feels more real, more aligned, and more fulfilling. And while each individual action may seem insignificant on its own, together they create a powerful force for change. Every single thing you do, no matter how minor it appears, is part of a larger story that you're writing day by day. Each time you choose to show up for yourself, to keep a promise you made, to stay present instead of escaping, you're building something. Every task you complete, every fear you confront, every time you do the uncomfortable thing instead of the easy one, you're moving closer to the version of yourself you're meant to become. Not the version that pleases others or checks off boxes, but the one that truly reflects who you are when no one else is watching. Because as Carl Jung once said, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. And maybe that's exactly what you're being called to do right now, to awaken, to finally open your eyes, not just to the world around you, but to the universe that exists within you, to stop running from your reflection and instead begin to embrace it. Thanks for staying until the end. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss out on what's next. See you in the next video.